story because I was still chirping about Christopher Nolan. I'm not done yet.
It was an epic box office weekend for the Odyssey. Christopher Nolan's take on Homer's ancient Greek poem brought in, listen to this figure, $260 million worldwide. That's huge, easily surpassing other movies on the planet. Adriana Diaz has more.
The Odyssey stormed the box office over the weekend with this year's biggest.
Have the Hogs missed their mark this hard before? I think it was like, at least with Baldur's Gate, they weren't like as chirpy about the gay stuff in it. So they knew better. They shut the fuck up. But this one, they positioned this as like a major flop. Elon Musk was actively utilizing Twitter and the Twitter algo to aggressively go after the Odyssey and how bad it was going to be, how the Odyssey was going to suck. People were going to hate it. They were going to oppose it because it's woke. Christopher Nolan is being woke. He made Helena Troy black. He put Elliot Page in the movie. These are unacceptable things. You can't do that. All this stuff. And now, of course, I have many different opinions on this. Number one, this is a fake story, and this is obviously Christopher Nolan's own interpretation of an already fictional story. So what's it to you, dumbass? That's number one. Number two, these people were not even they weren't even prominent fixtures of the movie. It wouldn't even be a problem if they were. But who cares? Like, most people just don't care about this stuff. Most people don't care about this stuff. They're exhausted. They have outrage fatigue. The right-wing mobs have gotten to the same point that I think at the peak woke left movements had gotten to. We're past that point, actually, where people are just like, enough, dude, let me fucking enjoy something. You're constantly up my asshole. Enough is enough, right? I think the real problem they should have had is not even the Western Sahara occupied territory and the demands for boycott, but the fact that they did not acknowledge that Omer is Turkish, born in Izmir, and also Troy is Turkish as well. And this is like, you know, seen as this great Greek play when it's like clearly it's actually a great Turkish masterpiece. And I think it's really fucked up. So a lot of people are not talking about that, but that's my own personal thing. You know, this is Anatolia, right? This is Anatolia, where Turkey is. And important to recognize that, obviously, but we're just not, you know, we're not gonna. It's fine. That's just a me thing, I guess. You know, I guess nobody cares about that. But we'll talk about the Western Sahara thing too. I didn't realize that there was parts of the movie that were filmed in Western Sahara. And no, I'm not gonna watch the 10-minute Democracy Now! Video on it either. I'd rather read an article on it.
Live action domestic opening yet.
Ithaca's king is coming back.
No, he's not.
The film, the first commercial feature shot entirely in IMAX, raked in more than $264 million worldwide.
Battle and glory!
Strength and honor! Action!
A majority of ticket buyers cited director Christopher Nolan as their primary reason to see the movie, according to PostTrack.
I will say this, also, Christopher Nolan, objectively more right-wing than most other major directors. Perhaps one of the more right-wing major directors, which is really funny because like the right are so repulsive and so racist that they are kind of pushing him to come across as a liberal. He's not a liberal. Like, he is a very conservative director. Right? As far as fucking directors goes, he might be, out of the major directors, he might literally be the most conservative. How? I don't know. Have you seen Dark Knight? Please rewatch Batman and tell me how that is not objectively a right-wing movie. Okay? The enemies are literally like socialist, communist terrorists. What are you talking about? The enemies are objectively tailored as like anarchists. Of course, he's not Taylor Sheridan. Taylor Sheridan is like not just like center, right? Taylor Sheridan is like right wing in the American sense. But I mean, Oppenheimer made me reconsider that stance a little bit, even though there's obviously a decent amount of conservatism that he has, but it's clear that he's just like he let the real world incidents speak for themselves. But I think if you look at some of his other work, like it's clear that there is he definitely has some right-wing takes.
A film industry research service.
It's Christopher Nolan. How can you not be excited for a Christopher Nolan film?
The second reason, the film's all-star cast, which includes Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Matt Damon as Odysseus. Damon spoke to us about the exhilarating but demanding shoot, which stretched across 6 different countries.
How intense did it get?
Well, it was the hardest movie.
One of the funniest parts about this, if you guys remember, if you're old enough, in like the early 2016 era when like Gamergate was popping off, but like woke was starting to make develop a foothold in American culture. One of the arguments that right-wingers constantly presented was that woke lefties don't have respect for the classics. Okay? Woke lefties don't want to teach people about the classics. They don't want people to learn about the classics. Oh, the ancient Greek, they were white, and therefore this is Shakespeare. You don't want to learn about that. You shouldn't learn about Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a colonizer. No one should learn about the Odyssey. No one should learn about Homer. That was the idea that right-wingers were trying to incept. The right-wingers were trying to invoke this claim that leftists were very much against. Woke SJWs were very much against the learning about the Odyssey. Right? Now, of course, this was never true, but this was never a real thing. However, in the last decade, the right has moved into the column of illiteracy and now see stupidity as not a vice, but a virtue, where they wear it on their sleeve, where they're like, yeah, I'm a dumb guy. That means I'm a real one. Yeah, I'm hateful. That means I'm real. You should be too. Like, we've moved so far beyond like any interest on the right for literacy that they're just straight up freaking the fuck out over this, instead of recognizing this as like, educating the new generation on this epic, on this classic that like people need to learn about. Instead of highlighting that, what a great story about defying the gods or whatever, right? Like instead of taking that approach, they have decided that because they're illiterate racists, that this, otherwise small c conservative classic is actually bad. Why is it bad? Because there's 3 minutes and 54 seconds of a black woman in the epic. And also because there's a trans man in it too, and that's unacceptable. It's a bridge too far. Yeah. I mean, Ben Shapiro is at least fucking smart enough to understand this, whereas many right-wingers have moved super, super far past that point. They don't give a shit, right? Ben Shapiro, I wanted to hold my opinion on the Odyssey until I'd seen it. I know, weird. So here it is. It's a grand spectacle with a fascinating moral core. It's extraordinary. Also, actors shouldn't have said dad. And the casting of Elliot Page is a pebble in the shoe. Irritating and bothersome and unnecessary. All my thoughts here, including Zendaya and Lupita, takes check it out. Yeah. So, is this because Ben goes woke? No, it's because Ben is of a dying breed. Ben is a hate monger. Ben is a horrible ultra Zionist, a bad guy in every way, shape, or form. However, Ben Shapiro is literate. And that is why a lot of people hate him. A lot more people hate him because of his Israel takes, certainly. But he is a theater kid through and through. And not only that, but he's also fucking literate. This is not a defense of Ben Shapiro. I despise him. I oppose him every step of the way. There is perhaps nothing that Ben Shapiro and I agree on. Having said that, however, I can still recognize that he is a literate human being and he has like at least some level of culture, which should imply that he knows better, but he does not, seemingly. Educated people being hateful is much worse. Yes and no, because it also doesn't matter because the right have moved beyond the need for educated hate mongers. They don't want that. They just want someone who's a mouth breather. They want an Asmongold. They want someone who is a dumb guy who openly admits that he's a dumb guy. They want relatability. They don't have aspirational goals anymore. In a decade ago, they had aspirational goals. Who would they hype up? They would hype up Jordan Peterson. They would hype up Ben Shapiro. They would try to behave in that way where they're like, oh, we're right wingers, but we're also intelligent right wingers, and we're going to destroy you in the marketplace of ideas. They don't have that anymore. They don't want that anymore. They want Joe Rogan. They want aspirational, or they don't even want aspirational no longer. It was first intellectual aspirational goals. Then it was material aspirational goals, like, all of the wealth and the women that want to fuck you, this hyper machismo with Andrew Tate. And now it's relatability. They're looking for someone who is a lumpenprole in the exact same way that they are, who has made it. That's all this is. That's why that is how I describe the rise of the likes of Asmongold. Bro, Asmold, again, going an hour-long tirade about you pulling up an immigrant with like 10 links to Destiny's Reddit, very coordinated. Who gives a fuck? Let him chirp. Buddy, I have the federal government after me. You think I give a shit about Asmongold coming after me? Who gives a fuck? Who cares about that nasty little freak? I got multiple governments coming after me. Asmongold should be licking his wounds over this Odyssey take. He farmed outrage on Odyssey so goddamn hard, okay? Non-stop he did. Non-stop. Homer's rolling in his grave. The Odyssey is over after this. The whole internet rejected this. Hollywood is panicking. $2.5 million. Right? And now it's a major hit. And right before it released, when critics were calling it a masterpiece, he said this: I don't think it's a great thing that critics are able to preemptively manufacture a consensus on media like this, especially when this movie has so many hot button social issues tied into it that critics refuse to address. Critics now offer propaganda rather than insight. Bitch, you did that. You're just chirping because you couldn't succeed. They tried to Gamergate the Odyssey. They tried to Gamergate Christopher Nolan. You can't fucking Gamergate Christopher Nolan. He's obviously one of the most famous directors of our generation. Why, like, it's so stupid. You said dollars instead of views? Oh, my bad. Yeah. It's kind of funny that they did this. So yeah, he should worry about that stuff.
Definitely that I've ever done. It felt in a lot of ways more like an expedition than a movie because of the locations we were at. You know, we'd be shooting on top of a mountain. We'd have to hike up the mountain to shoot. And that part of it ended up being really fun because it was challenging for everybody there.
The film is also declaring victory with critics, receiving an A grade on CinemaScore exit polls and 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. The momentum is only expected to continue with Oscar.
The Rotten Tomatoes score is just so stupid too. Like I'm sorry, it's just out of all of the different ways of out of all the different rating systems that exist, I think Rotten Tomatoes is probably the worst one because it literally doesn't tell you anything. That's not 97 on Rotten Tomatoes is not, that doesn't mean that it's like actually fucking, all of the critics are giving it 100%. Hassan, the biggest hater of art? No, it's, come on. This is like the coldest of takes. I mean, seriously. Yeah, it just means that 97% means that like a lot of people gave it a, you can get a 97% if you got every critic saying it's a 60. Every critic rated it like at a 10, a 6 out of 10. I'm not saying it's, I don't have issues with people who critique art. Who cares? It's fine. I think it's great. Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes system is interesting because it's like a thumbs up, thumbs down system, basically. And if like a lot of people are like iffy on it, but then there's enough people who just barely gave it like a passing score, then it's like then it gets a passing remark, basically. Anyway.
Already swirling.
I do think it's going to be one of the epic films of the century without question, and to be part of this right now is just part of history.
That is no exaggeration.
You heard.
I used to really like Metacritic, especially because it would compile all of the critics and their overall score, and then it would give you a user score, but Metacritic sucks now. So there's no, like, Metacritic is ass too because it gets fucking bombed. It gets unbelievable. It's just like the aggregate score was like a decent way to arrive at a conclusion ahead of time. But now you can't even do that. You can't even do that because everybody review bombs. So goddamn annoying.
I'll say that is no exaggeration. This marks Christopher Nolan's biggest global opening weekend of all time, ahead of Batman's Dark Knight sequels. And yes, this is a man who brought us Oppenheimer. It beat that too. And ahead in our 8 o'clock hour, Gail will talk to Christopher Nolan.
I'm so happy. You must feel this too, for people to see it. Now I want to go back and see it again because when I saw it the first time, it's with critics.
Yes.
I want to see it with an audience.
They're hooting and hollering in the theater. There's a big moment at the end. You know what part I'm talking about, Gail, where everybody goes crazy. Oh. And I love experiences like that in theaters.
You can't wait.
That's how I feel
Let's
too.
all go.
Hercules.
Nolan. Bringing us back
Thank
to
you,
theaters and out of our homes
I
with
love
our
it.
iPads. And I know, back
Movie
in the
theaters
theater.
are back, baby.
Here's a question. How do you turn one of the most epic stories of all time into a movie? Just ask Oscar-winning director Christopher Nolan about that. His latest film, The Odyssey, does exactly that. Listen to these stats. It was shot in 6 countries, used more than 2 million feet of film, and it's Nolan's biggest debut ever, pulling in more than $260 million worldwide. You go, Mr. Nolan. Matt Damon plays Odyssey.
Yeah, on Metacritic is rated 5.1 on user reviews because they bombed it, because there's like black people in it and there's a trans man in it. So they fucking bombed the shit out of it. They review bombed the shit out of it. So now Metacritic is not a reliable way to figure out how people feel about it.
Who struggles to get home after a very long war. He must reunite with his wife, that's Anne Hathaway, before she's forced to remarry and faces many obstacles along the way. So we spoke to the great director who says he still gets nervous even after all his years of success. But first, here's a look at a clip from the movie.
Tell me what you remember.
A wife? A son.
And then what?
We won the war. Help me go home.
We're very happy to say Christopher Nolan joins us in the studio. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The movie is out.
Yeah.
People have been watching it. But before it came out, I'm wondering how you were feeling. Nervous, anxious, excited? Because I've seen it twice in 2 weeks, and all I could say was, I can't wait for people to see it. How are you feeling?
Been nervous, anxious, excited.
Still?
Well, I make films for audience.
I hear the movie. They have a scene that claims the invention of baklava in Greece. Okay, dude. Okay, get out of here. Get out of here. Get the hell out of here. There's no way. There's no dang way. That's a lie.
It's just for the theatre, for the cinema. And so for me, the movie's really not done until the audience kind of tells me what it is. That's what completes the films. It's exciting, but it's scary.
How is this scary to you based on the body of work that you do? What are you nervous about in particular with this movie?
Well, I think, you know, you're trying to show the audience something maybe they haven't seen before.
Yes.
You're trying to...
Done. Okay.
You're trying to push the boundaries a little bit.
Twitter is unhappy with his recent take heroes. Man. Let him fucking chirp, dude. Yes. Let them chirp. I mean, that was... who cares? Who cares? Fuck Twitter. Twitter can suck my left ball and my right ball and my asshole at the same time, okay? Shut the fuck up. That's what I got. That's what I got for Twitter. Twitter can suck me from the back, okay? Oh, Twitter said this, Twitter said that. Who cares? They do Adolf Hitler compilations on there, man. Why? Why are you letting Twitter dictate anything? Yes, it's not even my fucking take. Adri misquoted me. And then everybody went crazy over it. I was reading a fucking comment from Lake McGroove. Obviously, my perspective on whether black people are capable of being homophobic is not, you know, I don't think that black people are incapable of being homophobic. I was just saying that the hyper focus on black people being homophobic seems a little strange, especially considering no one ever talks about white people homophobia. Okay? That's my take. Okay? That's my take. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Fuck it. Let him chirp. Let him chirp. How dare you? Blaming black women once again? I mean, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter. He's talking from the perspective of a leftist community, not in general. Christ. No, it's just, who cares, man? Who cares? Twitter is the only place where all of the fucking wokes and all of the Nazis come together and do the exact same thing, which is, I refuse to dig deeper and understand what your perspective is on this issue. I am now going to operate off of what I think you said and just start yelling about it. Okay? That's it. That's it. Who cares? And please, Adri, please don't clip this and post it on Twitter and then have all these people go fucking nutty mode over it. Okay, please. You don't have to clip everything. Okay. You're doing a great job. but sometimes it's okay. We don't have to like entertain these fights, okay? She's gonna clip this and post it on Twitter, and then everyone's gonna be like, Hassan is fucking losing his mind. He said everyone should eat his dick and balls. Oh my God, all this shit. Yeah, be nice to her. All you have to do is ask nicely. She loves you. Hasanabi. Well, I am being nice. I'm being nice. I'm not being mean. I wasn't being mean. Yes. Anyway. It's happening, fuck. I know. And it's not just happening to Cuba, it's happening to your boy too. This is literally something that they're working on. And they're gonna try to jam me up with this shit too. It's clear. Anyway, who is Hassan being mean to? He is such a douche. What? Dude, I love when guys, when people come in here and it's like so clear that you're just here to chirp. He's like, I didn't even know. I already have my mindset. I could possibly agree with what your take is. I didn't even hear it, but I heard like a goddamn animal. I half listened and I heard you get excited. The misquoting is the misquoting is because the broader context is not revealed in that conversation, okay? That's all it is. That's why it's like, it's not technically a misquote. It's just the broader context and how that will be received. If you don't think about that, when you're posting the descriptor, which is more important than the fucking clip itself, because nobody watches the clips. They only read, and even then they barely fucking read. Like that summarization is key. It's the most important element. It's the most important aspect of the clip on Twitter. And that's what a lot of my haters do. And I think Adri does a pretty good job. Doing this a month after Juneteenth is crazy. Like here's a great example. You want to know how shit gets clipped out of context? All right, we're done with the fucking Odyssey conversation. Okay, wait, hold on. Oops, that was the playlist, obviously. We're gonna get into situation monitoring in a second. But if you want to understand like how here's a great example of how like shit gets totally clipped out of context, or rather, the context itself or the video itself does not matter. It's totally secondary.